Welcome to Convergence Healing with Peter Bedard, where we empower you to heal your pain on every level of your being, body, mind, spirit. Our show is about sharing solutions for creating the life you want. We invite you to stand up and choose a life of health, happiness, and joy. And we're here to show you how. This is Convergence Healing.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. If you're interested, check out convergencehealingteas.com. You can try all of these yummy, delicious teas that are actually crafted in my home kitchen to help you feel better. We have a Sleep Well blend, a No More Anxiety blend, and all of those ingredients in there are designed to help you feel better through the traditional qualities that Mother Nature has to offer. Check it out.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Convergence Healing Podcast. We are healing talk solutions for creating a joyous life. I am so happy to be with you guys. This is part of my joy. It's part of my, how do I put this, life purpose. And you guys give me the opportunity to share what I love in the world. And one of those things that I love is sitting across from me. She's amazing. Amazing. I've just gotten to know her over the last year. She's become a lovely, lovely lady that I'm considering a friend. And, I like to have my friends on. I often meet people, and, I meet a lot of people out there, and it's not unusual, but it's there when you meet somebody who has an authenticity to them that is just natural. It's not worked at. It's just honest. So we're going to get to talk to Diana Leone in just a moment. Oh, actually, I'm saying your name wrong, aren't I? Leone. There we go. I have to get the right accent. Leone. So in a moment, we're going to sit down. But my people, I'm just so thrilled to be here. And you will. Okay, so there's this thing that you do called halotherapy. And I remember the first time I heard of that, I had no idea what that was. So can you define for our listeners what halotherapy is?
Yes. It's simply salt therapy. Halos is Greek for salt. And halotherapy, salt therapy, is breathing in salt air.
So you just go in and you put a mask over your head and you breathe in salt air?
No,
Tell me about that.
Very relaxing and not invasive like that at all. It's a very fine mist of pure sea salt in the air. This particle size is research-based, and so an extremely fine mist, gently breathing deeply into the lungs, and as you're doing this, you're relaxing in the beautiful salt cave.
There we go. So let's set the stage for you guys. Let's say you have a cold, right? Now, there's a study that came out a couple years ago that said if you actually put salt water down your nose, right? What is that? What do they call that? Like a neti pot type of thing, right? Where you're sniffing salt water, right? Or you gargle with it. If you did that every hour when you had a cold, you would heal faster, and it's more effective than any over-the-counter cold medicine.
Absolutely.
Right? So just this salt, right? They're selling us all this cold medicine and all these drugs and all these types of things that are mixed up into these pills that they give us to try and get the mucus to stop and all that type of thing. And science says that if you expose yourself to salt, right? So you put it into your sinuses, you put it down your nose, you gargle it in your throat. If you do that, you don't need any of those medicines, and you will heal a multitude of times faster. I don't know how many, hundreds of times faster, let's say, right?
Right. It's working on so many levels.
Right. So let's continue to set the stage. If somebody had a cold, they're going to come to you, and they're going to be welcomed into this beautiful room. Tell me about this room.
So this room is coated in sea salt, and the floor is covered with Himalayan salt. There are several Himalayan salt lamp elements in the room.
Now, you guys get that. There's actually salt. How many inches thick on the walls?
Oh, on the walls is a couple of inches.
Yeah, so there's salt that's like it's about 2 inches. It looks thicker to me, but it looks like 2 to 3 inches thick to me. But okay, there's a 2-inch layer of salt literally stuck to the walls of the room. Yes. And on the floor of the room is crushed Himalayan salt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you walk into this space. You're surrounded by all this healing salt, and then there's also a mister that's putting out salt crystals into the air.
That's the active treatment.
That's the active
it's a dry
treatment.
aerosol of pure sea salt.
Dry aerosol. So it's not a mister. It's a spray.
It's a spray.
Got it.
Yeah.
And you go in the room and you do what?
You sit in a recliner chair, and we give you a warm pillow for your shoulders. There are books and magazines. You really don't do anything. A lot of people sleep, meditate. It's very easy to go deep quickly if you choose to do that. And you breathe in the salt air.
Right. So
It's
in other words, you
45
go and
minutes.
you kick back for 45 minutes and you heal.
Exactly. You relax.
Right. You just relax, you breathe. That's the big element to it, isn't it?
Yes.
So you just breathe for 45 minutes effortlessly.
Exactly. Effortlessly.
Right. And the salt does its job.
Exactly.
That's amazing. So why don't we have these in our homes?
You could. It's a very special environment.
Yeah.
So I have
It would be
heard
like
of-
a salt chamber, right?
Yeah. So
Right.
those exist. You could have an individual salt chamber.
Oh, they exist? Neat.
They exist.
Uh-huh.
I've had people build their salt rooms. And there are things like we sell a salt inhaler. So getting the salt particles into your lungs,
Right.
through the sinus,
Right.
sinus passages. That's what salt therapy is.
So I'm always fascinated by all the things that that Mother Nature immediately or effortlessly, let's say, gives to us. That there's so much out there in the world and the environment that the universe provides for us, that nature, Pachamama, provides for us to heal. And how limited our knowledge is in modern times of these things. So what excited me about the Salt Studio and going into that space was it felt in a way almost primitive, not primitive, ancient. In a way, going in and being in that space, the few minutes that I did get to spend there, it feels like you're going back in time, like into a crystal cave, but it's a crystal salt cave. And the energy in that space is so grounded and so connected. It's like you're being held, right? You're being nurtured just by walking into the space. And that's why I have my teas, I have my teas because it's a natural way for people to bring in all that goodness that's provided for us already into our lives.
And we connect with it, whether we know it or not, why we feel better. That is why we feel better, because we're connecting back to Mother Earth. And what you were just describing, it's this reverent quality. That the
That's a
salt-
good word, reverent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It feels spiritual.
Yeah, just on its own. And at the same time, it's very subtle.
Yeah, there's a reverence. That's a great word to it. Yeah, awesome. So how did you stumble into something like this? I mean, you created a whole business around salt.
Well, I discovered through a man who was from Poland. He said, in my country, what people do for respiratory therapy is salt therapy. So I looked into that, and it looked fascinating and simple. And my sister happened to have pneumonia pretty shortly after that, so I found a salt room to direct her to, and she did that, and it helped her really immediately. And that was enough for me to look into it.
Right.
Yeah.
To say, hey, there's an opportunity here to share this with the world. That's awesome. The salt mines in Poland are famous. The salt mines, they've actually made cathedrals underground in the salt mines out of salt. You've got to see these. If you never see it, go Google this. They're incredible what they've actually done with the salt. And they were a important place that people were saved during World War II. They hid people in the salt mines, and the salt has been, my part of my family background is Polish, and that whole salt thing was very important to the people of that area. So I love that you brought that up, and it's interesting that it's an indigenous technology, basically, that you're now bringing into the United States.
And exactly, that salt therapy was discovered as through the observation that the salt mine workers didn't have the same respiratory problems that everyone else had.
Right. Fascinating. Huh?
Yeah.
What do people come to you for?
Well, certainly like allergies and asthma would be the top two, but even just for everyday, like I say, we're an urban escape, an urban healing space.
Oasis.
Oasis. In our just in our environment, the everyday person could use some detoxifying of their lungs. I think chronic sinusitis is just everywhere, especially recently with wildfires and things in our environment. So
it's fun. It's healing. It makes you feel good.
absolutely.
That's great. Super, super cool. Now, you have a lot of stuff that's going on. You've expanded just from salt. Why leave salt? I mean, it's so good. Why bother doing anything else?
I've been a massage therapist for many years and was very inspired to combine the two ideas, the two elements. And so we also do salt body treatments, scrubs and body scrubs and Dead Sea mud wraps, and all with the healing power of salt in mind. Making that connection, but also making that connection of overall wellness and healing through massage and organic skincare. Salt therapy is also great for skin conditions, taking down the inflammation and really relieving pain of those conditions. And so we offer organic skincare.
Cool. Can you tell us about maybe some clients that have come to you and didn't know what to do and you were able to help them? Tell me your favorite story.
We had a little boy who was about 7 years old with pretty severe asthma, and because of that condition, he lived a very sheltered life, as I would understand. Not being able to go play sports, they pretty much wanted to keep him safe indoors.
Sort of the boy in the bubble, huh?
Yes, I totally understand that. And so on his first session, he kind of laid in the salt box. I observed he didn't have a very colorful complexion, and however much that was due to his asthma, I'm not sure, but within a couple of weeks, he was coming for weekly treatments. He just seemed like a different child, like much more colorful, more active. His family seemed more relaxed. It sounded like because he was doing so much better and apparently reducing his medication. So because he was doing better, they were able to live a more active life out in the world. And yeah, they came for maybe a year of weekly treatments for him, and that was just, that was amazing.
Right. Now, this is interesting.
Depending on what you need, everyone knows about a good Epsom salt bath. And
I don't think everyone does know about
okay.
Epsom salt. I've mentioned Epsom salts to people before, and they didn't know what I was even talking about. So let's assume people don't know. What is an Epsom salt bath?
Okay. Epsom salt bath. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate, and that benefits your muscles, muscle soreness, and it's very inexpensive. This is a home remedy for even in that situation where you're coming down with a cold. I think that could help you out detoxifying. So
you take a bath, 10
just
minutes. Is it hot water or cold water?
As warm as you can.
So hot water.
Enjoy it. Hot
Right.
water,
Okay.
Epsom salt. I always remind people to please check the carton because it's a surprising amount that you put in the bath. like 2 cups per gallon or so. Like
That's a lot.
It's a lot of salt.
Wow.
So that's one treatment. And
See, I didn't know that. I've done Epsom salt baths before, but I didn't know to put that much in there. That's interesting. So you really should put probably the whole carton.
Well, read the carton. It
Right.
depends what you're doing, because you could also do it just for a foot bath.
Got it. So you could do this for a foot bath. You could do it for your whole body. And if you could get it steamy, then you're going to be breathing in the salts too, right?
Yes, but that's not exactly salt therapy.
Right. Okay.
I think that the benefit of magnesium sulfate is more for the muscles and pulling toxins from the body.
Okay.
How to get an actual aerosol or the neti pot is a good treatment. It's very different because it's moist. Salt inhalers, you can order that online.
I know I've mentioned this, but for people who don't know what neti pots are, it's basically just a porcelain teapot, basically, but it's a teapot made for your nose.
Yeah, that's a sinus rinse.
Right. So the idea is that you're putting a salt water into your sinuses, rinsing out your sinuses. Now, I know sometimes when I do that, if I have too high of a salt content, I get a real burn. Or if I have an infection, it burns up inside there, like when I've had a cold.
Yeah.
And that's been a really good thing because I'm guessing that it's killing off the bacteria.
Exactly.
Right. Not the most comfortable.
Right. And that's where the salt room, it's like come and relax, or maybe have some discomfort. Right.
Well, and salt, we know, is an antibacterial. You know, it's like those old pirate movies, right? You see the guys are at sea and they cut themselves and they dunk the wound in the ocean, right? And the salt burns, right? But it heals.
Exactly.
It stops the infections. Exactly. Fascinating. I love that. It's so simple. Now, there's probably different grades of salt, and you've mentioned 2 different kinds of salts that are used in your salt room, right? I think you said sea salt and Himalayan, right? There's sea salt on the walls, Himalayan on the floor. Talk to us about quality of salt, and why not just take some regular table salt? So actually, in a moment, we're going to be right back, and I'd like you to share with us what's the difference between all these different kinds of salts.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. If you're interested, check out convergencehealingteas.com. You can try all these yummy, delicious teas that are actually crafted in my home kitchen to help you feel better. We have a Sleep Well blend, a No More Anxiety blend, and all of those ingredients in there are designed to help you feel better through the traditional qualities that Mother Nature has to offer. Check it out.
All right, my people, my people. Hey, everybody. We are back, and I have the lovely, gentle, amazing Diana Leone that's actually sitting across from me. And this is a quiet conversation. I like it. You know, a lot of times I get really wired up there, and I get so excited. And Diana's energy is kind of like calming me down. It's very sweet. And I know it's like that in the Salt Studio. So you actually have created an environment that's very representative of that energy that you carry. It's a very still, sort of deep, quiet sort of place. And that's how I would describe your personality too. Now, before we went to our break, I was asking you about the qualities of salt. Like, I've been told that table salt is really something you should never have, but that Himalayan salt, go for it, right? And I used to, in my shop that I used to have in downtown LA, I used to actually sell Himalayan salt, and there were 88, part of the understanding of it and the sharing with people with it was that there were 88 different enzymes and minerals that are in Himalayan salt, and there's basically 0 in table salt. Now, so salt isn't salt. It's not, one comparable to the other as equal, right? There's a big difference. Can you talk to us about why do you have sea salt on the walls and Himalayan on the floor, and what's the value of these salts?
Sure. Well, going back to the table salt's pure sodium chloride, and that's one element that's in Himalayan salt and within all of those minerals. But in those 88 minerals, there's balance, just like in any whole part of nature. It's so dependent on all of the parts and not just taking the sodium chloride into our body in excess amounts.
Right.
And that's where we get problems because there's no balance. So in the salt room, we use Himalayan salt because there are negative ions released through Himalayan salt. And so that's kind of the other side of salt therapy, is being in this environment of negative ions from the Himalayan salt, and that can boost serotonin levels. So you feel sort of lighter and happier, and can be great for just uplifting and depression.
Right. So negative ions, when you go to the ocean, I've heard of, like, it's funny because I was thinking years ago, I remember when I first heard about negative ions, and I'm like, why would I want a negative ion?
It sounds bad, obviously.
It sounds bad. Why would I want a negative ion, right? Yep. But they were talking about how going to the beach is full of, because of the salt, negative ions. And you just said when the negative ions interact with the body, they help with the production of serotonin, or the feel-good sort of parts of us, right?
Absolutely.
So I would imagine there's some sort of chemical thing that happens in the brain, where different neuropeptides are triggered, right? That create all these serotonin, oxytocin, and trigger these feel-good feelings, chemicals in our body.
They're reionizing our bodies, bringing us back into a balance with nature, versus positive ions, which sound good and they're not. And those are created by the EMFs and noise pollution and things that we're bombarded with on an everyday basis, whether we want to or not.
Right.
And so that's why that's the other level of the salt room, helping people to emerge happier.
Right. So go out and get your negative ions, people.
Absolutely.
Right.
Waterfalls.
That'd be a great
beach.
shirt for you. Come get your negative ions.
Totally.
That would be fun. Okay, so there's a big difference between table salt and Himalayan salt, because table salt is basically a single component, and the Himalayan salt has the, hydrogen chloride? What is salt?
What is
Salt is made of, you said it.
Oh, sodium chloride.
Sodium chloride. There we go. So it's a hydrogen chloride. That's a whole different chemical. So sodium chloride, right?
In addition to those 80 something minerals.
And pure sodium chloride, it's all right. But when it has all the other good stuff in it, then it's like another cocktail of healing, right?
And I should back up.
Yeah.
The Himalayan salt is the salt, like the full range of minerals, is the one that we want to ingest. Pure sodium chloride is actually the salt that's in the air in the salt room. That's where we have the research.
Oh, okay.
It's the sodium chloride that actually is reducing inflammation in the lungs, and it's antimicrobial. And
nice. So it's breathing that in,
Yes.
breathing the salt in, which is different than ingesting it.
which is very different than ingesting it.
Right. And the body probably has a different reaction to it.
Yes, and as far as I know, there isn't research showing benefit to ingesting all of those minerals in Himalayan salt.
Mm-hmm.
So we stick to the pure sodium chloride.
Got it. All right. So what would be, if people are using different kind of salts, is there a recommendation that you would give people?
I love Himalayan salt
All right.
to ingest.
Uh-huh.
I love Himalayan salt for body treatments.
Okay.
So like salt body scrubs.
All right. Now, there's other salts in the world. Like I know that in Peru, there's a salt I think they called something maras. Maras. We're getting what is it called? It's a pink salt, so it's called maras. It's the name of the place where that salt is made. Now, there's places all over the world, and this mara is supposed to have a lot of healing qualities too. Is there? I understand that you prefer Himalayan because that's what you know. Are there other salts in other parts of the world that you might be able to recommend to people?
I am very excited to go to Peru now and check out that salt. In Hawaii, there's the alea salt.
That's the black salt.
It's red and
it's the red.
salt mixed
Okay.
with clay.
Okay.
And that is extremely ancient healing combination for them, and we do a treatment based on that, and it's really beautiful. I really feel the Hawaiian ocean element in that.
Neat. So you actually can feel that when you tune into. You're so experienced.
I personally can.
You personally can feel these. That wow. All right, that's awesome. I'd love to do a little test because I know there's also a black Hawaiian salt. Actually, I have some at home, and I know I've seen the red before as well, and there's all these different kinds of salts. It would be interesting to see, because you are so sensitive to it, if you can like feel a different vibe, I guess, coming from each of the different elements.
That's an experiment we should try.
Yeah, we should try that. I should bring some to the Salt Studio. Well, very cool. So we were talking on our break about people that had come in to see you for different reasons. Can you share a little bit more of that with our audience?
Sure. We have had several cases of long-term cough. It's usually in the spring. People have gone through a winter cold or flu, and they're just left with this lingering, nagging cough that becomes just chronic and has gone on for months, and they've sort of tried everything or nothing, and it's making them miserable. And I have to say, everyone is different, so we never know how someone will respond, but I have to say that cough has gone away many times within 1 or 2 sessions. So part of what I believe happens is the cough is sort of a deep dryness within the lungs, and the salt actually pulls moisture from the air into the lungs, into those areas, soothing that chronic cough.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen that happen many times. I've also seen, we've also had people inspired to quit smoking because they could feel, again, what it feels like to breathe deeper. And I'm imagining like how much more life force they're getting just from that oxygen.
Yeah, absolutely. And breath is so important, and most people that smoke certainly do not breathe. And most people on this planet, at least most Americans, don't breathe. We breathe very shallowly. So someone who's smoking is breathing even less. So if you can help open up the lungs, I would imagine that would be a good therapy for somebody who's going through, the experience of becoming a permanent ex-smoker.
Absolutely.
That's pretty valuable. I'm going to have to remember that when I'm working with people on my end.
Yeah.
So we're going to take another quick... So stay tuned for future episodes. We love you guys. You're amazing. And make it a great day. Bye.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. If you're interested, check out convergencehealingteas.com. You can try all these yummy, delicious teas that are actually crafted in my home kitchen to help you feel better. We have a Sleep Well blend, a No More Anxiety blend, and all of those ingredients in there are designed to help you feel better through the traditional qualities that Mother Nature has to offer. Check it out.